Hello guys, it's Shaun Thomson here. Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're having a look at the Ford Ranger now that it is 6 months on since we originally bought it. Now we have done a lot to the car, including new wheels, new tyres, a new wrap job, which is probably one of the most important things, as well as a couple of additional things like lights, bars, wheels, and of course the all-important train horn. So without further ado, let's get into this week's video, and let's do a little update video here on the Ford Ranger. I can do it in public now. Alright, so one of the most notable differences we have done here is change the stock road tyres to the BFG Goodrich all-terrain tyres, which gives it a little bit more of an off-road look, and also we kept the stock OZ Racing wheels, which came with the MSRT edition. Okay, so on the front we pretty much kept it the exact same, with of course the carbon fibre that came with the vehicle. The only notable difference is of course the wrap. Now the wrap was done by Shaun Wraps up in Glasgow, fantastic company if you are looking for any wraps done in the future. But we decided to kind of keep the carbon fibre exposed, and of course some of the black panels that are harder to wrap, just to give it a little bit more of an aggressive look at the front end. We did also add some flashing lights as well, which you may be able to see here while I've turned them on. However, we will get a little bit more of a nighttime look, where it'll be easier to see the flashing lights and some of the other lights that we have added. Now the rear of the vehicle is where we've done most of the aftermarket work, with of course the Pro Top that you've seen me install, the LED light bar which has 4 LED lights, and of course the spare wheel with the Baja Mount. Of course the wrap is also here at the back, and we have 2 rear strobe lights, as well as under here is the air horn, and of course a aftermarket exhaust. Doesn't really give out much of a noise, it's more for looks. I was kind of wanting it quad tip, so 2 here and 2 over here, but unfortunately with the way the AdBlue tank works within the vehicle, it kind of covers that and stops us from using this area here for another set of 2 tips. Another thing unfortunately as well is in installing the train horn, we actually stopped ourselves from being able to do a tow hook or a tow bar, so I think I'm going to have to take the air horn out, obviously put the tow bar in and reroute the air horn somewhere so we can get that tow bar in there, because it'll be good of course for trailers and other projects that we have coming up. Also from Beefy Flaps, we did in fact get these Thomson removal style, or Thomson removal branded mud flaps, which personally add a little bit more of a unique feel to the vehicle, which I quite like. All in all though, I'd say it's came together quite well. We also put these obviously fake carbon fibre accents in the back, just to kind of match the front. Obviously the fronted carbon fibre, so you've got to have a little bit on the rear. So the side of the vehicle is where you're going to see the majority of the wraps, so a big shout out to Shaun Wraps for helping me put this together and coming up with a lovely design where you can see the dark blue kind of breaking up into the light blue, and then of course breaking back up into the dark blue, with of course a picture of the lorry kind of faded away, almost like an airbrush but not like an airbrush kind of idea. Of course the branding and the logo that we've had since 1994 in Durham, Scotland, and we also kept the original MSRT sticker. Cracking job they did. I'll get a close-up of this in a minute. So they actually went to the effort of ordering a new MSRT sticker and sticking it on top, which actually we didn't actually plan on doing at all, but it just shows you what these boys at Shaun Wraps do. Of course we left the silver up here exposed, and there's not really much on the roof. It's more obviously the bar and the LED lights up here as well. There's also 2 bed lights mounted in here. Not yet got them programmed into the bed light button, but we will get that pretty shortly. So a little bit of freehand here. The mount doesn't go this high, but one of the things I wanted to talk about was the Baja Mount. Now this was done by Storm Fabrications in Kilmarnock, and honestly they done an absolutely cracking job. They even fitted it for us, which was even better, but you can also get a better view up here of the 4 LED lights as well. Alright, so you're probably not going to see much from down here, but you can see the train horn with the air tanks and everything. Now the air tanks and all the lights were installed by Volvo Truck and Bus and Air. and they done a cracking job. Now, I'm not gonna lie, they are plastic horns, so luckily they won't rust. They are looking a bit dirty. I maybe could have cleaned down here beforehand, but such is life. Now, unfortunately, one of the, I don't know what it was, power units, whatever you want to call it, fuse units, did in fact go on this, so it did have to go back into Volvo and get repaired, but it came out working once again. They done a cracking job on it. Alright, so since it is an update video, let's talk about some of the problems we've had with the vehicle. Now, one of the first ones I want to talk about, my top peeve with this vehicle, which is of course the tune button. Now, the way I sit quite spread-legged, like how I'm sitting the now, obviously, with the door closed, like that, and it's quite comfy. The downside is when you're listening to music, this is where obviously you can skip tunes. So for every one you put round, it will skip a tune or a song. So every time I kind of adjust myself and hit my knee down, it changes tune. Now, obviously, it looks like it'd be quite a lot of effort to do that, but if you're sitting spread-legged like me, you're constantly touching it, constantly changing the tune, and it properly does my nut in. Right, so one of the things I hate most about this car, and it's just a impatient thing for me as well, is when you press the start button, you have to have it in park. Now, this is the first time I've had an automatic vehicle, but if I hit the start, obviously, because I'm doing it a lot slower, it's probably not going to work. But when I'm in a rush, when I jump in the car in the morning, I'm quite bad for hitting the engine and pulling it back too quick. Now, if you do that, it normally does essentially stall. I can't quite get it. Let me try and do it one more time. There we go, I got it that time. So if I pull that back too quick, it stalls the vehicle, and then you have to go back into park mode and start it again. Now, I know that's probably a tiny issue, but it really does do my nut in, especially with this being one of the first times that I've had an automatic car. Now, with regards to damages we've had with this vehicle, one of the first things we had here was this coming loose. Now, one downside, and I'm not here to slate Arnold Clark in any way, shape or form, is that when we booked this in to get this repaired, along with the airbag fault we had, I put on the thing fuel cap loose. So what the guy had basically done, and he showed my dad this, basically was like, yeah, obviously my dad was like, is the fuel cap fixed? The guy was like, yeah, look. So you press it, it will open and close. So that's how they diagnosed the fuel cap error. Whereas if you actually open it, you can see that the fuel cap's now tight, but before you used to be able to pull that straight out. And unfortunately, that caused a fuel leak, which has since bubbled the wrap, which we're gonna now need to get repaired whenever we have a spare moment. It was a little bit annoying. I feel that Arnold Clark could have put a wee bit more effort into double checking that was actually tight, but it's what it is. Of course, like I said before, one of the other issues we had was the passenger airbag stopped working, and they had to take the whole dashboard out to redo the airbag. Basically, there was a chafed wire or something along the lines of that within the dashboard, which meant for a good couple of weeks we were driving without an airbag. Again, not slating Arnold Clark, but what they do is they book you in for a look at the vehicle, and then they say, right, we need to fix this, and then they book you in for 4 months later to get the problem actually solved, which really annoyed me, because it meant for 4 months or 2 weeks or however long it was, we were driving around with essentially a non-working airbag, which would have been horrible if we'd got into a crash. I feel that with an airbag, you should be able to fix that like immediately, just because it is a main safety feature. Another thing as well is when they've put the vehicle back together, they've just silly things like the body lines don't quite match up, and you know, you have to go around and kind of plug it in. They've just kind of put it together really quickly, and it just annoyed me at that a little bit. Another thing as well is, unfortunately, there was an MSRT badge here. We have since lost that. It was only single stitched round, and it flew off. But other than that, we've not really had many other problems with it. It's been cracking, it's been a brilliant vehicle. A little bit sore on the fuel, but it is a Ford Ranger. But all in all, it's been a cracking vehicle, and we absolutely love it, and it looks stunning, it shows. But without further ado, let's show you the interesting parts, which is of course the air horn and the Underglow Kit. Now, this could piss a lot of folk off because it is fucking loud. It's fucking loud, isn't it? Holy shit. So yeah, that's the train horn. Quite loud, and pisses a lot of people off. All right, so here we have the Underglow Kit, and of course the flashing lights, quite easy to see in this lovely dark warehouse. As you can see, it goes right round the vehicle to the back. You can also see the bed lights there. They come on when the door is open. As you can see, it's slightly ajar, which means that those lights will come on. Now, as for the high beam lights, this is where it gets really interesting. There we go, there's the high beam lights on there. And I don't know how well the camera's going to capture this, but if we come and stand right here in front of the lights, You can see that they are bright as f***, man. There is nothing you ain't gonna see on the back roads with these things. They are bright as hell. Obviously, if you come around the side, you can get a better angle of them. We can see just the spread inside a tiny warehouse. I say tiny, man, it's fucking massive. But you know, you can see the spread of the lights against that white shutter there. And of course, just to add insult to injury, if you're headphone users, I apologise. Fucking hell. And just there as well, you can hear the compressor kicking on to, of course, fuel up the air tank once more so we can hit that horn again. But anyways guys, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. And if you're ever looking for removals or storage, feel free to call that number below, 0800 037 5707. And of course, Thomson Removals or Kilmarnock Removals, sister companies anywhere in Scotland and UK and Ireland. Sorry, United Kingdom, Ireland and worldwide. Wherever you need us to go, we'll get it done somehow. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next video. Goodbye.